Wait for the fam to come in. I was finishing up my oatmeal. Good morning. Let's wait for everybody to pile in. Welcome to the Week Ahead Astro. Thank you all for being here. Let's wait for the fam to pile in. So we are going live on Instagram, and this is going to be recorded and posted to YouTube later on today. Wow. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. Wherever you happen to be at in the world, wherever you happen to be tapping in from. Hey, Shanae. Hey, Ale. Hey, Mrs. Stale. Good morning. How is the eclipse energy been for everybody? Anybody have a hard time sleeping last night? I'm just waving at everybody as they're coming in. I'm just finishing up my oatmeal and then we'll dive in. So we have quite a busy week ahead of us. There's just been a lot going on in general, astrologically. We just had our eclipse yesterday. People, yeah, someone said people are acting crazy. Yeah, there is eclipses bring out people's shadows, bring out people's demons, bring out the inner villain. Eclipses tend to be a little triggering and they also push us towards extremes. So that's one of the things to always remember about eclipses is, extreme emotions, extreme actions, extreme, behaviors, extreme moments of fighting and retaliation and stuff, right? So there's been a lot of extreme energy around where people are pushing things to the limit, going beyond their limit, pushing other people to their limit, which is where we get a lot of like the violence. Also, Mars just went into Scorpio, so we'll talk more about this um, as we proceed into the weekend astro. But Mars is officially now in Scorpio. But yesterday for the eclipse, Mars was at 29 degrees Libra, and Mars did ingress into Scorpio yesterday, and Mars immediately moves into a square or has moved into a square with Pluto in Aquarius. So now with Mars in Scorpio, especially like starting off this week with Mars in Scorpio, square Pluto in Aquarius, there might be a lot of things around power battles or power struggles or hidden motives or hidden emotions getting triggered. Scorpio tends to activate the darker, deeper emotions. Scorpio is this as a sign. Scorpio is all the effed up emotions that we deal with. So, like Pisces and Cancer are all the nice, sweet, fluffy emotions when it comes to the water signs. Where Scorpio being ruled by Mars, right? Is the hard emotions, the difficult emotions. So like betrayal and vengeance and resentment and like sitting on anger for long periods of time and then just exploding, right? Secrecy, all these things are Scorpio energy. So now that Mars is in Scorpio, moving away from Libra, moved out of Libra, has gone to Scorpio, the energy shifts with Mars things. The way we go about fighting, asserting our energy, the way we go about pursuing our passions, the way we deal with Mars things shifts and changes, right? Mars leaving Libra, he exits his detriment where he's weak. Why is Mars weak in Libra? Well, it's because in Libra, Libra's a sign of peace. It's ruled by Venus. It's about, finding harmony and balance, and it's about finding justice and making it work. And, let's stay together, right? Where Mars and Scorpio is like, fuck that. I'm out of this bitch. I'm gonna do what I want, right? Like Mars going into his sign of Scorpio. He feels emboldened, he feels passionate, he feels inspired, and he feels ready or prepared to go solo bolo and to be alone, right? So that's one of the things that's why Mars, is in his detriment in Libra, the sign of relationship, where he's empowered and inspired and in rulership in Scorpio, right? Because Mars is now in his home turf. He's in his own territory. The good thing about having Mars in Scorpio is that now that he's in his rulership, um, he's not going to be so malefic or so destructive. But it is Mars and Scorpio. You know what I mean? And we start off this week with Mars scoring Pluto for the next few days. So, I think this week with, the big feature being Mars square Pluto, there's going to be some challenging things that come up. There's going to be maybe some frustrations or some frustrating, dark, heavy emotions from the past being drudged up, you know? And we may feel like there's issues or problems that we've been sitting on that we've been ignoring, or there's certain emotional, deeper emotional things, deeper emotional passions or motivations, or even hidden secret emotions that we've been feeling that Mars wants to stir up. That Mars is like, oh, let's do something about this. Like, let's talk about these emotions. Let's take action around the way that you're feeling, right? And that Mars square Pluto can be a triggering moment, you know, or can activate a triggering moment to where you have to confront some kind of hidden, secret, heavy emotions, right? Or something like that. Yeah, Mars and Scorpio is going to be most beneficial for water signs. So if you're a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, you're going to be, if you're a Scorpio, your Scorpio placements are getting conjoined by Mars, right? So if you're a Scorpio placement, Mars is going to be inspiring you, motivating you. I'm feeling it. I woke up today and I did yoga for like a straight hour. Also, just woke up feeling very irritable because I have an early degree Sun, Mercury, and Scorpio, and Mars is like coming from my Sun and my Mercury, and I already know what that looks like. Because last time I think that Mars was on my Sun and my Mercury, I think I ended up getting in an argument or fight with someone, or I just felt I was just very irritable. I just was feeling very hot. So, we want to be aware, you know, of Mars. If you're a fixed sign, if you're a Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, then you're either, if you're a Leo or Aquarius, you're going to be getting squared. Your placements will be getting squared by Mars at some point over the next few months as he's transiting Scorpio. And if you are a Taurus, you're going to be getting opposed by Mars. So you really want to, you know, if you are someone that knows your chart very well and you have fixed placements, you have a fixed sun, moon, and rising, or you have a fixed sun, moon, or rising, especially, you want to kind of track Mars and see when Mars is going to aspect your sun, moon, or go across your rising, or go across your descendant, depending on your, you know, or whatever. If Mars is gonna, if you have, let's say you have Taurus placements, is Mars gonna oppose your moon or your sun? That could be a fight or a battle with somebody, or that can be a moment of domestic disturbance, or that can be a standoff with your boss or with your father, with the Mars opposite the sun. So you just want to be very aware of Mars moving through Scorpio if you are a fixed sign, especially. Okay. Um, Earth signs are gonna feel very stimulated by Mars because they're getting either opposed or Taurus is getting opposed by Mars, but Virgo and Capricorn are getting stimulated by Mars, where the water sign, where the air signs and the fire signs can have a hard time with Mars. Okay, so if you're an air sign or a fire sign, Mars and Scorpio could be a little difficult for you, depending on the houses that it's transiting. I think Mars in the fourth house, eighth house, 12th house can be really challenging. So if you are a, what is it, the fire signs? The fire signs have the, yeah. So if you're a fire sign rising, especially, if you are a Leo, Sag, or an Aries rising, that means you have a water sign ruling houses 4, 8, or 12. So if you're a fire sign rising, you better take a look at what house you have Scorpio in, house 4, 8, or 12. And that's probably where you can anticipate some kind of trouble or some kind of issue, or you can anticipate some kind of problems with Mars bringing inflammation or bringing irritation or bringing drama, crisis. Mars brings drama, Mars brings crisis. Mars does bring action and passion. Sometimes Mars can bring you a man, you know, if you're if you're a gay man or if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, you know, Mars is the planet of men. So Mars, sometimes a Mars transit will be about you starting to date a guy, right, right? But other times it can be something very destructive or very difficult. Also, if you are an air sign, if you are a Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius rising, you have Mars rule, or you have water signs in houses 2, 6, and 10. These are the financial houses. These are your money houses, especially if you're an air sign. But even if you're an air sign, you know, moon or sun, you want to listen to what I'm saying right now, okay? Um, but if you're an air sign rising, Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra rising, Mars is going to be transiting your second, sixth, or 10th house for the next few months. So that is money problems, issues with coworkers or fights with coworkers, or issues with bosses, or even you are deciding to make some kind of shift or change with your work and your career, air sign risings, or you have some unexpected expenses that you have coming. Especially if you have anything in houses 2, 8, or 2, 6, and 10. If you see Mars coming for something in the opposite house, right? Because you got to think the sixth house is on the axis with the 12th. The second house is on the axis with the eighth, right? The fourth house, the 10th house is on the axis with the fourth. So, there could be some financial losses that you are going to take, or there could be some money issues that you got to deal with in some type of way, or also issues with work or career with Mars and Scorpio. So, we want to really pay attention to Mars and Scorpio. Let me get the dates for you guys at Mars and Scorpio. This is something that I should know. I like just got out the shower. I just got out the shower. I just finished eating right now. You guys watched me finish eating. I did yoga this morning, so I didn't have time to like look at, kind of prepare. We're just winging it today. We're just hot winging it, my loves. Okay, how y'all doing? How's everybody doing? How y'all doing out there? How's the eclipse been? It hasn't been that bad, huh? I don't think it's been that bad. I think the Pisces eclipse was like was real bad. But I think this Virgo eclipse, I don't think it's been that bad. But we'll see. We still have 2 weeks left of this eclipse energy. So we're still gonna be where eclipse season is not over. Just because you hear some other astrologers saying, "Oh, we just have the eclipse and the eclipse is," it is not over. We have 2 weeks to be in this solar eclipse and Virgo energy. So just because nothing happened to you yesterday, baby, okay, that don't mean over the next 2 weeks you can deal with some eclipse thing, all right? So just hang in there, all right? I love you. All right, let's go ahead and let me see. Let me pull up. Let me see what Mars and Scorpio transit. This is this is what I be doing, y'all. It's so simple. So if you want to know something, just Google it, okay? Or just ask ChatGPT, all right? People be asking me, Louis, how did you learn astrology? I learned astrology through Google and through YouTube and by reading tons of books. I have a whole library of books, but that's how I learned astrology and by really enjoying it and having fun looking at charts and like making it my own. And I think that's one of the most important things about any craft, anything that you want to do, whether it be you want to be a musician, you want to be an artist, you want to be an astrologer, you want to be a tarot reader, whatever it is, you absolutely need to make it your own. You can't go and mimic and copy the way other people do it. You have to take ownership over your skills, over your talents. You have to take ownership over your passions, over your gifts. So many people, they have the gifts, they have the magic, they have the talent, but because they are trying to do what everyone else is doing, because they're trying to, compare themselves to everyone else, they totally are disconnected from their own creative genius, their own intuition, their own passions, their own way of doing it. You know what I mean? And that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you different. There is no one in the world that you're going to go to who does astrology like me. I promise you that. I promise you that there's no one that you are going to go to that does astrology or even does tarot readings like me. Because why? I have cultivated my own pathway. I've cultivated my own way of doing things. I've literally grown it in my own garden. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we should do. We always want to take ownership over the things that we do. If you're a dancer, be creative with it, have fun with it, do it your way. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Okay. Our goal with Pluto and Aquarius now, and Uranus and Gemini, and the age of Aquarius, Pluto Aquarius, our goal is to stand out and be different, not to assimilate and do everything the way everyone else is doing. We're not trying to blend in no more. Okay. You're trying to stand out and be different and be unique. All right. And how are you going to do that when you're just looking like a carbon copy of everyone else? Come on now. Think about it, you know? All right. Let's go ahead and get sorry, I just had to, I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that came from. My bad, y'all. Okay, let's see. Mars will be in Scorpio for approximately 45 days. So he'll be in Scorpio from September 22nd, which is today, until November 14th, 2025. Let me go ahead and make a note of that. Mars in Scorpio. 9/22/25 until November, until 11/14. Oh, that's my friend's birthday. That's one of my best friend's birthday, actually. Then Mars goes into Sag. So 45 days. Mars is actually picking up speed. He's going pretty fast. Usually he spends an average of 2 months in a sign. Yeah, typically. But I think he's only spending what, a month and a half in Scorpio. So he's going pretty fast. So my astronomy professor said, if you believe in astrology, I would advise you to stop. And the eclipses made me immediately felt like he needed to get smacked in the mouth. Yeah, don't worry about what other people say, what other people believe. There's a lot of people that, they have their opinions, and not everyone is meant to believe in astrology in this lifetime. Not everybody deserves it. Okay. Not everybody is entitled to the wisdom and the grace and the knowledge of God and the divine of spirit. All right. People that are closed-minded, and because ignorance is the great undoer, right? Ignorance is, and that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Ignorance is man's greatest enemy, right? And if people want to be ignorant, more than likely there's something within their spirit and their soul, within their karma, to where they don't deserve access to the mystical and the magical. They don't deserve access to the astrology, right? This is also what's said in Vedic. There's in Vedic astrology, they say that if someone can't find their birth time, there's a certain karma around not having access to the wisdom and knowledge of spirit and the divine of God, right? So, sometimes people are not entitled. They're not meant to use astrology or connect to astrology because they don't deserve it. Period. Punto. So, hey, it's not for everybody, all right? Some of us are a little bit more blessed. Some of us understand what is sacred. You don't throw pearls to pigs. Jesus said it. You don't throw pearls to pigs who are just gonna trample it, right? You don't throw pearls to pigs, my loves. All right, let's dive in. Oh my goodness. All righty. Okay. So Mars in Scorpio. All right. We have Mars at 0 degrees Scorpio. He's going to be there from today until November 14th. And he's squaring Pluto. So Mars is going to be in a square with Pluto. I'm looking at the chart right now. We have the moon in Libra today. We'll talk about the moon later on. We'll go through the moon's transits later on. I just want to talk about generally like certain things. So this week, right? Mars square Pluto. How many days are we gonna have to deal with this? Oh my good. Oh, all week. Oh Lordy Jesus. We're dealing with Mars square Pluto all week. All right. So Mars, I'm looking at Sunday, September 28th, and Mars is gonna be at 4 degrees, which is right on my sun. Make sure I don't. I gotta watch out this week. I gotta make sure I don't fight or argue with anybody, or that Mars energy. That Mars energy. I gotta reel it back. I gotta reel it back. So, also, what do we start this week? Libra season. All my beautiful Libra boys, all my beautiful Libra honey boys. I love me a Libra man. Let me tell you what, I love me a Libra man. But listen, that's my South Node, and that's where Mars is at. So, I got to be careful. Got to be very careful with Libra men, okay? Because why? They have been my undoing in the past, and they will do it again if I give them the opportunity to. So, I love me some Libra. I love me some Libra. But let me tell you a little bit about Libra, okay? Let's talk about Libra season. Also, to all my Libra sons, happy birthday. Happy soon to be birthday. I love this for you guys. Mars is going to be in Scorpio for your entire season, Libras. So you guys are going to have Mars in Scorpio as a signature in your chart. That is the second house away from your sign or from your sun. So, Libras, what I will say, we have Venus and Virgo going over this. Oh my God, we're gonna have Venus going over the South Node. Oh Lord, we'll talk about that. But Libras with Mars in the second house away during your birthday, you really want to watch out for money and finances this year. I'm just gonna give you all a little extra. You want to watch out for like your money and your finances this year, Libra, especially if you're a Libra rising. Okay. Also with Mars in the second, I will say, Libras, new streams of income, new work, new passions, and new ways of making money. Okay, you guys are having some really cool stuff actually happening in houses 10, 2, 6, and 10, Libra rising, especially Libra sun, Libra moon. This may resonate with you. But Libra has Saturn in the sixth, Mars in the second, and Jupiter in the 10th from their sign. So this looks like a money-making year for you guys. This looks like a business year. This looks like a year of entrepreneurship. This looks like a year of new money opportunities for Libra. I'll just give you all that little extra. But yeah, so we do start Libra season. Tomorrow on the 23rd, we have our fall equinox. The equinox is when we have an equal amount of light and an equal amount of day. And so Libra season, right, is a cardinal season. Libra season kicks off winter, fall, fall time. Because fall is October, November, December. And so everything's gonna start to die, okay? Everything starts to die during Libra season. The nights get darker, okay? This is cuffing season. This is when cuffing season starts. Libra season is when cuffing season starts. So we're looking for a boot thing. Who's looking for a boot thing this Libra season? I know I am. But also one of the things we want to keep in mind is the reason why is the sun in Libra difficult? Or why is the sun in Libra challenging? Well, because the sun is fallen in the sign of Libra. The sun finds its exaltation where it's very strong and very powerful and emboldened in the sign of Aries, opposite of Libra, where the sun is diminished, it's weak, it's fading away, it's losing power in Libra, right? And why is this? Because fall is the beginning of when the sun starts to lose its light. It starts to lose its power, right? We move away from summer where the sun is really strong, the sun is really bright in the sky during summertime, right? We have more day than night. Well, now the sun going into Libra begins, fall and winter where the sun is not going to take precedent. Saturn starts to take precedent, right? We start to get more darkness than daytime. So this is why the sun is fallen in the sign of Libra. And for those of you that have a sun in Libra, a lot of people that have the sun in Libra, they have a weak or a diminished or difficult relationship with their father. Their father can be judgmental. Their father can be disconnected from their life in some type of way. Their father can feel like a friend and not really be there for them. Or they can just have a little bit of an empty or a cold relationship with the father because the sun is fallen in the sign of Libra and the sun is a signature of the father, right? So with the sun in Libra, it makes sense that the planets of individuality and self, which are the sun and Mars, are debilitated and weak in Libra, right? Mars is in detriment in Libra, disempowered in Libra, which I was just talking about at the beginning of the live, and the sun is fallen in Libra. And the sun and Mars are individual planets, right? They're planets about what you want, your desires, yourself, your ego, your confidence, your identity. But Libra is a sign of what? Relationships and partnerships. And Libra is a sign of the other. Libra is also the sign of business. It's a sign of beauty. It's a sign of fashion. It's a sign of makeup. It's a sign of hair and nails. This is why you see people with Libra placements. They love modeling. They love their, couture. They love going and getting their nails done and their hair did. They love, laying around doing nothing. Honestly, Libra is a very lazy sign. And I should know because I have Mars in Libra. But yeah, can be a very lazy sign. So now that we are entering Libra season, the season of cupping, look at I have the Two of Cups staring at me, by the way. That's so funny. This is where the Sun and Libra relationships become a focus. Justice becomes a focus. Finding balance and harmony in our relationships becomes a focus, right? This Libra season is also our first Libra season where we don't have eclipses, right? Because we were dealing with the Aries and Libra eclipses last year during Libra season. So I feel like this Libra season is gonna be a little bit more, especially coming out of we gotta also keep in mind for the first 2 weeks of Libra season, we are still in the eclipse energy. So I do think the first 2 weeks of Libra season are gonna be pretty volatile. But I think as we get to oh no, we got a full moon in Aries, so never mind. I think we're gonna have a very volatile Libra season altogether. I think. I just realized after this eclipse that we had in this solar eclipse in Virgo that we had yesterday, the next lunar event 2 weeks from now is gonna be a full moon in Aries. And I think that full moon's gonna be a little intense. It's probably gonna be a little violent or a little angry and things like that. So but yeah, my loves, I just gotta be honest with you. I think this is the astrology of this moment is pretty difficult. It's pretty rough on a lot of people. And this Libra season, I wish I could say that it would be peaceful, but I don't think so. I think it's gonna be challenging. I think there's going to be anger, fighting, conflict. I think there's going to be a lot more social justice stuff and a lot more, we may even see declarations of war with Mars and Scorpio and a full moon in Aries in 2 weeks from now. I also do think that full moon is going to be possibly squaring Jupiter. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk more about that when we get closer to that, okay? Because we're talking about the astrology of this week right now, right? So, all right, let's kind of dive into the week. What else? Okay, what else did I want to talk about? Uh, okay, so we have okay, so Libra season begins. I talked about that. Mars and Scorpio, we talked about that. We have Mercury and Venus. We have Mercury going through Libra and Venus in Virgo. Mercury and Venus are at the beginning degrees of Virgo and Libra, respectively. And we have the Sun opposite Saturn today and tomorrow. Okay. So one of the things we may be very aware of today, tomorrow, especially with Sun opposite Saturn and coming out of this eclipse that was opposing Saturn, we may be very aware of our limitations. We may be made very aware of our need for boundaries in certain relationships. We may be very aware of the things that we are supposed to be moving away from or letting go, or even things around habits and behaviors. There could even be like abstinence, or there could be, more moderation, or us kind of shifting or changing this week our routines in some type of way, right? Because we're just coming out of that solar eclipse in Virgo that was the sun and moon opposite Saturn, right? So there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of awareness around our Saturnian work, our Saturnian limitations, the things that we should and shouldn't be doing, the people that we should or shouldn't be connecting to, the habits and the behaviors that we need to recommit to, good habits, good behaviors, and health practices that we need to recommit to in some type of way. One of the things I will say is we just want to be careful this week with getting sick or getting ill. There is a lot of people that are going to continue to get sick. That's because, Virgo is a sign of health, and we just are coming out of a solar eclipse in Virgo, right? So I just want you guys to be very aware of that. Let me just wave at everybody coming in. Hold on. Oops. That was not what I wanted to do. There we go. There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. I needed to brighten everything up. Earthquake in Berkeley. Oh yeah, there was an earthquake this morning. Yeah, the reason the earthquake was Mars square Pluto. So another thing is when Mars quincunxes Uranus. So Mars ingressing into Scorpio made a quincunx with Uranus in Gemini, and also squared Pluto in Aquarius. And so with Mars squared Pluto, that Aquarius energy, Uranian energy, we get earthquakes and things like that. So that was Mars's ingress into Pluto that caused that earthquake. All right, so let me get the so yeah, well, I was talking about Sun opposite Saturn. So yeah, also as the Sun goes into Libra and opposes Neptune, there could be moments of confusion, moments of disillusion. I think right now with Sun opposite Saturn in Pisces, and then Sun moving into Libra tomorrow and opposing Neptune in Aries, things are kind of foggy, or things are feeling very unsure, or things are feeling very porous. We may be looking at things and it's a mirage, or it's an illusion, or it's not even real, right? Like there's a lot of this moral confusion. There's a lot of this, we're not sure what is right and what is wrong. We're experiencing blurred boundaries. We're experiencing misperceptions, deception, things like this with Sun opposite Saturn, Neptune, and Sun moving into an opposition with Neptune in Aries tomorrow. So I just want you guys to be made very aware of this kind of like Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Aries fog that's going on right now. Like, not everything is clear, not everything is real, not everything is straightforward. And I'm even thinking about that with Mars and Scorpio, like, hidden intentions, hidden motives, things happening like behind the scenes and stuff like that. So we just want to be made very aware this, especially the first few days of this week, of this kind of like Saturn separating from an opposition, or Sun separating from an opposition with Saturn, and then Sun ingressing into Libra, and then immediately opposing Neptune tomorrow on the 23rd of September. We want to be made very aware of this kind of Neptunian influence in the sky right now that's kind of making things like confusing or foggy, or making us feel very unsure, or even making us feel like a little sensitive. we may be feeling very emotional, very sensitive at this time. Venus is in Virgo, and Venus, she's in her fall in Virgo. So there may be things that come up this week with Venus and Virgo around our self-worth and around confidence and around, how we feel underappreciated or undervalued in relationships. And I think this is something that we want to pay attention to with the sun fallen in Libra starting tomorrow, sun moving into Libra, and then also Venus in a fallen state, right? To me, there's a lot of questions that we're asking ourselves this week around like what role do I play in my relationships and how do my relationships support me, see me, validate me, right? Or how are they kind of not, they're like I'm possibly growing out of these relationships, or these relationships are no longer bringing me, that balance, that equality, that fairness, or we're not experiencing integrity in our relationships or from others, or we need to address something that's wrong. We got to make it right, right? We've been sitting on something and now it's time to talk about it. So I just want you guys to be made very aware of what's happening in the realm of relationships and partnerships this week with Sun ingressing into a fallen state in Libra and then Venus also in Virgo, but also the moon's in Libra. So that's another thing, when we're talking about today and tomorrow, the moon is transiting the sign of Libra, and so there's questions that we're asking ourselves around, relationships and around partnership and stuff like that, and we got to look at it. Also with Mercury, Moon in Libra, and Mars in Scorpio, they're in the Sun going to Libra. There could be themes around like court in the legal matters that we got to deal with, or even like business partnerships and stuff like that. Libra season is a cardinal season, so it's a sign that initiates and begins things or starts things, right? So we may feel inspired and motivated to begin or start something, but one of the things I've been telling a lot of people right now is like, you know, we're this is like a time for kind of like planning, or this is kind of like a time for course correction and taking a look at your foundation and seeing what isn't working and like tweaking things a little bit, right? But you know and also major life pivots. I really do feel that. I really do think that this is a period for major life pivots, but we don't have all the answers that yet, or we don't have all the resources yet, or we don't have all the tools that we need possibly, or the way forward and that door and that opportunity may not be presenting itself quite yet. So we just need to kind of honor this kind of place of limbo that we're in right now collectively, and let the rest of these eclipse energies kind of like cycle through, because we're still dealing with like fated karmic events, this week and next week as we move through this solar eclipse in Virgo cycle. Okay. But there's going to be big themes around, jobs this week, job losses, layoffs, things like that, issues with bosses, real, bosses getting laid off, intense restructuring and stuff like that at the workplace. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that this week. We're going to be seeing a lot of that. Also, kind of businesses going bankrupt, or businesses, yeah, filing for bankruptcy, or even businesses being bought out, sold, merging with other businesses and stuff like that. We're going to see a lot of that this week as well. Um, okay, well, let's talk about the moon transits for the week. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you guys have any questions, anybody wants to ask anything as well while we're doing this, those of you that are chilling on the live, please feel free to ask, okay? If you have any questions, I'm just gonna wave at everybody. Everybody, yeah, rock your body. Someone said, I'm practicing abstinence from social media, was unplugged yesterday and only came on for you today. Oh, thank you. That's good, that's good. Okay. So we start off today with the Moon Mercury together. So this is a very talkative day. Moon Mercury together, our mind is feeling very stimulated today. Moon Mercury is about, aunts, uncles, cousins, talking to, your brother, your sibling that you haven't heard from in a long time or whatever. Um, And this today's a good day for business, for creativity, for art. If you want to, today, tomorrow with the moon in Libra, if you want to get your nails done, you want to get your hair did, things like this. Um, Today's a good day for that with Moon Mercury together. Any kind of like, filling out paperwork, submitting paperwork, putting something in the mail. Moon Mercury today, you might have a really good conversation, or Mercury might have a little bit of a message for you. I like Moon Mercury together. I think that's like a really positive transit, especially in Libra. This is like deep relationship conversations and things like, I miss you and how have you been and what have you been up to? And we haven't seen each other in a long time. And, cuffing season is coming and I'm feeling a little lonely. I know things didn't work out 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 months ago last week, but I'm feeling a little lonely and I think I can use a little bit of loving or something. Moon Mercury together today. Sorry. I'm like, I don't know what's gotten into me. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling really goofy today, so feeling a little goofy today. Might be the tea. I don't know. It might be. Advice on Mars return. Just pay attention to, well, where do you have Mars first and foremost? And yeah, Mars things, your Mars return could be about men, relationships with men, it could be about your passions, it could be about sex and desire, it could be about many things. Um, you know, you have to kind of know astrology a little bit to look at your Mars return chart. I think for a lot of us, what does a Mars return mean? What does a lunar return mean? What does a Mercury return mean, right? If you don't know how to read a return chart for a planet, then, well, it doesn't really mean much. It's not going to really mean much to you. But you just kind of want to, it's like any return, any planetary return is a refreshment and a renewal of that planetary energy. So, whenever a planet returns to your natal placement of where you have it, it's like you're going to have new experiences, new opportunities, fresh new energies. There's like a renewal of that planet and what that planet means and what that planet is trying to do in your chart. It's like a fresh start, a new beginning. Same thing with like a solar return with your birthday, right? It's like you have a birthday and it's like, okay, it's a fresh new year. It's like a fresh new beginning. It's like a rebirth of the planet in a way, right? Yeah, the Jupiter return is one of the best. Our Jupiter return tends to be really awesome. Okay, let me see. Someone said we need, let me recheck my block list. When will the overall confusion in relationship start to clear up and bring more clarity? Well, the thing is, like, this is like, I think this is just for some, well, there's a lot of people getting married. Like, so when it comes to relationships right now, right? When it comes to relationships, like, you either are or you aren't right now. Like it either is or it isn't. Like, like we're entering Libra season. Mars is in Scorpio. Venus is in her detriment in Virgo. But it's like, I think the cold, hard truth right now, and we'll talk more about relationships as Venus comes with the South Node because Venus is gonna be approaching the South Node in the next few weeks. And so, like, what are we seeing right now? What are you seeing right now with celebrities and just collectively? You're seeing people getting married. You're seeing people get engaged. You're seeing people have babies. One of my favorite LGBT couples just got married over the weekend, like in Mykonos or in Greece or somewhere. I think it was in Mykonos, Greece or something. I don't know. It was somewhere over there. And so there's a lot of this like energy right now of like confirmation around this is the person I want to be with. This is the person I want to partner with. This is the person I want to marry. This is the person I want to move in with. This is the person I want to buy a house with. This is the person I want to have a baby with. And if you're unsure about that, if you're like, I don't know about this person, we're still working through issues, we're still working through problems, like we just can't find balance, we can't find harmony, we're arguing, we're fighting, or we're just not feeling it. We're just not feeling it. The passion isn't there. You already know the answer. You already know. Half the time when I do readings, listen, I'm telling you shit that you already know that you've been denying to yourself. You've been lying to yourself about, that you've been avoiding, that you do not want to be honest with yourself about. And I'm over here to tell you, all right, well, this is the truth, and you got to look at that truth in your own life, right? And many times we want to avoid the truth about what's going on in our relationships. Like, we don't want to be honest with the fact that, hey, you know what? This shit is not working out. This is not for, this person's not for you, you know? Like, and it's just, it is what it is. So let it go with grace. And that's one of the things. I pulled cards yesterday for myself, and what I got as a collective message yesterday was like, you can't force anything right now. This is eclipse season. We need to let fate and destiny unfold. We need to let things move the way that they're meant to move, you know? And sometimes, you know, we want to force, we want to hold on to, we want to cling on to things that are not meant to stay. They gotta go. We gotta go, right? And if we're in a relationship that constantly gives us confusion, that constantly gives us anxiety, that's constantly making us feel sad and depressed, that's constantly making us feel frustrated and angry, if we're in a relationship that's constantly bothering us and it's making us sick and it's making us ill and it's fucking up our money and it's distracting us from our work and our quality of life has gotten worse while we've been in it, what are we doing? The universe has already given you every freaking sign, every freaking symbol. They're telling you in every way, shape, or form, through your money, through your health, through your experience of the relationship itself, that baby, you gotta go. You gotta let this person go, you know? But we will sit in toxicity. We will sit in just the worst of situations because why? We are afraid of being alone. We're afraid of being personally responsible for ourselves. We're afraid of, you know, oh my God, what if I never meet anybody? But so you're gonna settle for this? You're gonna sit in this? This is what you're gonna sit in? For 20, 30, 40, 50 years? You're gonna sit in this? Never knowing the possibility or the potential of what you could have had, or even the person you could have been. There's so many people who give their entire life and their identity and their goals and their dreams away to make a relationship work, and they abandon themselves. And when you do that, you abandon yourself. And you're going to get to the end of your life. You're going to be like, fuck, I wasted all that time with that asshole. What was I doing? What was I thinking? You had all these goals, you had all these dreams. You wanted to go to France and you wanted to travel the world and you wanted to, you know, buy property. And you sitting there in that mobile home, okay, with that man. Come on. You know? Like, we gotta stop being so that's like listen, I have the South. I'm sorry, but someone needs this today. Because I have the South Node in Mars and Libra. I've been single for years. I've been single for 7, 8 years. Because I know my past life pattern. I have South Node, Mars, and Libra in the eighth house. I've known what it feels like. I know and have known what it feels like to give my power away and to have my entire life wrapped up in a relationship with someone else. And I'm not doing that. I'm not making that mistake in this lifetime. I have my North Node in Aries in the second house with Jupiter. You know, I'm a Pisces rising, ruled by that Jupiter and Aries. I'm here to be an individual. I'm here to do my own thing. And I'm patiently waiting for a relationship, but we have to be very aware and very careful with who we're connecting with, my loves, because one person, right? And this is actually so funny because it's actually something I thought about today. So what came to me today when I was doing yoga was God is never gonna like, you know, God is never gonna send evil or negative your way, right? But there will be people that show up in your life. There will be lovers, there'll be friends, there'll be spouses, even parents, siblings, right? There's people in your life that are here to test you and they're here to refine you. And you have certain karmic patterns that are going to get revealed by the people that you interact with. We don't meet anyone without reason. I want you guys to understand that. The majority of the people that you meet in your life, no matter who it is, no matter if it's a coworker, it's a boss, it's a stranger, it's a lover, it's a spouse, it's written. It's part of the karmic contract. It's part of what you have to experience. And every relationship is a lesson. Every relationship is a lesson. If you go through an experience with somebody and you don't learn the lesson, okay, no matter who it is, then guess what? You're going to deal with more people that are going to teach you, that are going to do their best to teach you that same lesson. The universe is going to send you more people until you learn that lesson. And everyone has their own lessons. Everyone has their own lessons, right? So I want to, the moon's in Libra today. So it's the appropriate thing to talk about, right? But I just want to share that insight with you guys because, you know, we don't want to give our time or energy away to people that, don't value us or don't appreciate us, or even to where you're recreating your childhood trauma in a relationship and you're falling in love with someone who is just like your mother or your father, or or just like possibly a sibling, or just like someone that raised you, and you're just recreating this traumatic childhood in the relationship, which is what so many, I cannot tell you how many people do this. I cannot tell you how many people do this. I see it every day when I do readings. Like, there are people literally recreating the same messed up, parental relationship that they experienced. They saw their parents have a toxic, terrible relationship growing up, okay? And then they recreate the same thing in their own life, and they end up with doing playing this. They end up playing one parental role, and then they partner with someone that's playing the other parental role. It happens all the time. I literally, and it's crazy because you know what? We are so blind to it. People that are in this, they are so blind to this pattern that they're just like falling into, that they can't even see it. There's no objective and out. They're so wrapped up in the drama. They're so wrapped up in the crisis. They're so wrapped up in the trauma. They're so wrapped up in the emotional highs and the emotional lows of their relationship that they can't even take a step back and see how they're just doing the same shit that their mama and their daddy did, or even they're in their or runs in the lineage. Grandmother did it, great grandmother did it, great 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 grandmother. It's like, it's crazy. Like with a client, right? I had to tell a client. So the person that you're dating is an alcoholic. Your dad was an alcoholic. Your ex-husband was an alcoholic. Your grandfather was an alcoholic. Your brother is an alcoholic. When are you going to learn to not mess with men that drink alcohol? When are you going to learn? When are you going to learn? Or you're just going to keep doing the same thing. You're going to keep dating alcoholic men. And then you're going to end up with an alcoholic son. And then you're going to have, and it's just like, and then the karmic lesson just goes on. It's just recycled generation after generation. We're just ending up with men that drink alcohol and that are emotionally abusive and emotionally destructive, and they get drunk, and you're having to go and pick them up. Are we just going to sit in this pattern and just do this over and over and over? When are you going to break the cycle? When are you going to break the cycle? When are you going to be like, you know what, actually, I'm not going to date a man that has an alcohol problem, right? Because that's what's familiar to you. You already know, right? Dealing with a man that has alcohol problems is familiar for you. That might be your comfort zone. That might what make that in some ways that makes you feel safe, or in some ways that's familiar. But that doesn't mean it's safe. That doesn't mean it's healthy. It doesn't mean it's good. It's just familiar and recognizable. It's a noticeable pattern, right? So this is why we need to have an ultra amount of self-awareness. We need to be super objective about what we're experiencing and the way we're engaging in relationships, so that we don't make this, because you can't heal and you can't fix what you're not aware of and what you can't see. This is why it's super important to develop detachment and to develop objective perspective. You got to be able to rise above any situation to see it from the top down. Because when you're all wrapped up in it and involved in it, in the drama and the chaos, you're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to have any agency. You're just in the pattern. You're just in the narrative. You're playing out that dramatic story that you witnessed growing up. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Moon and Libra thing. This is Libra. This is all Libra stuff. This is all Libra stuff. I swear. This is like what we're talking about right now. This is all Libra things. You know what I mean? I have seen people with Libra placements, the Pluto and Libra generation, the people with Saturn and Libra, people with the South Node in Libra. They will sit in an empty, cold, or even a destructive, violent relationship for years, because that relationship is a reflection of their own lack of self-worth, their own lack of self-love, their own lack of individuality, okay? Their own lack of personal power, their own ability to just be alone. They'll sit in an empty, cold, mean, vicious, vile, toxic relationship for years, and it's sad, or something, and it's just like, because it's like a karmic Libra thing. I swear, it's like a karmic Libra thing to sit in these relationships. So we just got to be very aware of this. We got to be very aware of this. We don't want to make those mistakes, my love. You know, we don't want to make those same mistakes. You know what I mean? I've seen Libra people just chase and chase and chase the most unhealthy, toxic people, or just be in relationships that are just not for them, you know? So, all right, let me stop preaching, okay? Let me get off my high horse. Yes, I have a friend who's a Pluto and Libra 19 degrees in a poly relationship that's so toxic. Yeah. Like the way we compromise ourselves for love, the bullshit that we put up with, and we call that love. That's not love. That's a trauma bond. That's what that is. That's not love. We are very confused with what love is. Okay, but let me tell you what, I know what love ain't. And I call it like I see it. That right there, ooh, that's not love. I don't know what that is, but that's definitely not love, okay? All right, so Moon, Mercury, and Libra today. Conversations about relationships. You know what I mean? Like trying to find balance and harmony in our relationships and our partnerships, right? Trying to bring back integrity to our relationships, fighting for justice and things like this. Where there's gonna be a lot of political, a lot of social justice, a lot of what is right, and a lot of like what is right and what is wrong. There's a lot of that kind of like conversation that it's going to be in the air this week. But yeah, moon in Libra. So this moon in Libra transit is responding to Venus and Virgo, who is in detriment. So, what I will say is I want you to pay attention today and tomorrow as the moon is transiting Libra. I want you to pay attention to kind of what's coming up for you around like your woundedness around self-worth and self-esteem. And also what's coming up for you around woundedness with love and partnership. I'm looking at tomorrow, Tuesday the 23rd, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Well, actually, let me put this in Pacific time. Hold on. And what I'm looking at is, yeah, there we go. What I'm looking at is tomorrow the moon in Libra opposes Chiron in Aries, you know? And so I really do feel like there's a certain woundedness coming up with relationships and partnerships today and tomorrow with the moon in Libra responding to Venus in her detriment in Virgo. And also Venus is separating from that Uranus square, right? So, one of the things that was a defining feature of our eclipse yesterday was the Venus in Virgo square Uranus in Gemini. So this is about, chaotic experiences with relationships or with strangers and things like that, or even this kind of like energy of wanting to free oneself or wanting to address something that's unstable. Venus and Virgo tends to be unstable for relationships because Virgo is a mutable sign, right? And Venus is in her detriment. So, relationships are taking a hit right now. I think they're going to be taking a hit all month as Venus is transiting Virgo, especially as Venus gets closer to the South Node, because the South Node in Virgo is about releasing, is about surrender, is about letting things go. Also, another thing I want you guys to keep in mind, though, this is a time where there's kind of like faded alignment with people that we meet. So, you know, with Venus in the same sign as the nodes right now, it's like whoever you meet right now, or people that you meet right now, or even how relationships progress or move forward, is part of like fate or destiny, or are part of your karmic, like these people are part of your karmic timeline, right? You can meet a lover right now, or you can meet someone, a friend, you can meet a business partner that is part of this narrative, part of this story, right? And they're here to teach you something, or here to show you something. It's very important, or they're here to be a part of your story because they're going to be an element of the forward movement of your life in some type of way, right? So I also think we got to honor and respect that as well. Um, so it's not all bad, but what I will say with Venus on the same sign as the South Node, this is about spiritual awareness or detachment or surrender or letting go of Venus things, relationships, partnerships, objects of. Also, another thing I want to say, like this is a good week, especially coming out of the eclipse. This is a good week for letting shit go and material things. So if you have like old clothes, you have like old furniture, you have old electronics, you have things like that, donate things, give things away this week, okay? It'll be really good for your karmic journey, and it'll also maybe offset some of the malefic energy of the eclipses. So, if you're someone that you want to like let something go, or you want to like create more space in your life for new things, this would be a good week to like literally like get rid of stuff, like literally create space in your life for new things, clear out your closet, get rid of the old clothing, get rid of old objects you don't need anymore, stuff like that. Get all that stuff, give it away, let it all go, okay? Create space in your life right now. Donate. You can sell it too if you want to. You can sell it, yeah. As long as you're getting rid of it, okay? If you want to donate it, give it away for free. Saturn likes when we donate things and give things away for free, okay? If you want to sell it, that do your thing. As long as you're getting rid of it, okay? As long as you're getting rid of it. Also, if this is a good week, if you want to create like dharma in your life, like good stuff, this is a good week to offer some kind of guidance or help or advice to people, all right? Very, very good week for that. So, and do it kind of like for free or do it out of the kindness of your heart. Okay. The universe really loves when we do that. Mercury and Jupiter really love when we teach or instruct or guide people or give people wisdom and knowledge without expectation of anything in return. Okay. So if you want some, Dharma points, if you want some good luck in your cookie jar, those are some action points. Okay. So, I'm looking at tomorrow. Tuesday, September 23rd. I'm looking at, what's the time here? I'm looking at 12 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, Tuesday the 23rd. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the sun going into Libra immediately. Immediately. You guys know, do you guys know Joanne the scammer? Do you guys know Joanne the scammer? Anybody? I just thought when I said immediately, I just thought of one of her meme videos when when she goes into a classroom and it's like a classroom full of like mixed people, like white and black people. She's like, white people to the back of the class. Immediately. Immediately. And then she's all looks better already. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember her meme video though? When she's like, when she goes into the classroom, she's like, white folks to the back of the class immediately, immediately. And they all get up and they go to the back of the class and she's like, looks better already. Oh, like when I said that word immediately, I started laughing and brought up that memory. Anyways, my little ADD brain kicking in. So today, I'm sorry, tomorrow on September 22nd, September 23rd, my bad. um, the sun goes into Libra, but let me tell you what happens with the sun tomorrow, which is kind of crazy. So, tomorrow, as the sun goes into Libra, the sun trines Pluto, trines Uranus, and opposes Neptune all at the same time. So we have this grand trine with Uranus, Pluto, and the sun, and then also in opposition with Neptune that the sun is making. And it's a sacred kite formation. I'm actually gonna go ahead and share this. Hold on, let me share my screen so that those on YouTube, if you guys want to go and follow along on YouTube later on, you can. Let me share this on my screens. There's actually a sacred kite formation tomorrow at the sun. So it's this beautiful trine. It's a square. It's a grand trine. And then we have at the apex, with why the reason why I call it a sacred kite is beyond the trine, we have that Neptune and Aries. And so I think tomorrow is important. And I think tomorrow is important for leaderships and for leadership and government authorities. I think tomorrow is important for any kind of political or social justice movements. The sun going into its fall in Libra, ingressing into its fall in Libra, opposing Neptune, trining Uranus and Pluto. Tomorrow is giving political leaders being overthrown, or tomorrow is giving, celebrities, CEOs, people in the limelight losing their position or losing power, losing authority, or even being brought to justice in some type of way. With the sun trine Pluto, the sun trine Uranus, and also the sun opposite Neptune. What's interesting about this though is the sun is our awareness of self, right? Our awareness of self. The sun is our consciousness, our stream of consciousness. The sun is our ego, our identity, how we conceptualize ourselves. So when someone asks you, oh, who is Jersey? Who is Dan? When someone asks you about yourself and you tell people, oh, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, you give people your life story, your life narrative, you're literally giving people your sun. You're telling people your sun. The way that you see yourself, right? Your conception of self, your ego, your identity, that's all the sun. So with the sun trining Uranus and Pluto tomorrow, we can have like a personal breakthrough around our identity or around ourself in some type of way, right? There can be a shift in consciousness, a shift in awareness around who we are, and there's going to be this energy of kind of like wanting to liberate the self or wanting to free the self from outdated identities, like who you've been, right? Like that version of you in the past, the way you've seen yourself in the past is kind of like melting away or shedding away in some type of way, okay? What's also interesting about the sun tomorrow is that it opposes Neptune in Aries. So there can be some confusing, foggy situations that happen with leadership or with bosses. We can feel very like, we can be like, oh, I'm not really sure who I am or who I'm becoming, but I'm feeling spiritual. I'm feeling psychic. I'm feeling intuitive. I'm feeling like I want to let some ish go. We can feel that energy with the sun opposite Neptune in Aries tomorrow. Okay. But Sun opposite Neptune and Aries, and both of them at 0 degrees. I don't know. This is kind of feeling like, a moment of anger or a moment of rage and confusing emotions tomorrow around what is right and what is wrong. What I do want to say with this Mars square Pluto and the Sun opposite Neptune tomorrow, and we have Mars squaring Pluto right now, like just be very careful with getting into any fights or arguments around beliefs, around morals, around ethics this week. I just think this can be I think this is a very dangerous time. And I think people are feeling hyper emotional and very triggered and very defensive. And I think we just got to be very aware of this energy of Mars square Pluto, and even tomorrow the Sun opposing Neptune. We got to just be very aware of this energy of like people are feeling sensitive and emotionally triggered. I don't know. I'm thinking about Neptune and Aries, opposite Sun and Libra, being about like, anger. Like Neptune and Aries is about anger and emotional sensitivities regarding anger. And then Libra is like, justice and what is right and what is wrong and like our morals and ethics. So I'm just seeing Sun opposite Neptune. I'm kind of seeing like, people, well, oh, well, how could you, blah, 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 if that person doesn't even support me or value me or my people or my identity or something, we can have these like really intense moments. So I just want you guys to be aware of that, okay? Choose your battles wisely this week, especially. Like, just choose your battles wisely, okay? So, tomorrow, this is all tomorrow. We're talking about the equinox tomorrow. With the sun going to yeah, tomorrow's our equinox. So it's a day where we get equal day, equal night, or we get equal day, equal night, and then we're going to start getting more nights. So the equinox is a moment of balance, though, especially the Libra equinox or the autumn equinox or the fall equinox, right? This is about because the sun it's in Libra, so it's about recalibration of the self, like bringing the self back into balance and harmony in some type of way, looking at aspects of your life that are unbalanced and kind of recalibrating things and kind of adjusting things, in order to bring your life back into the balance. So let's say you're working too much, right? And it's causing you, it's like, if impacting your health. We got Venus in Virgo, we got the Sun in Libra, right? And the South Node in Virgo. Well, it's time for you to, Libra is about the scale. So maybe you have too much weight over here at work and you have not enough weight over here on your health. So you got to take some weight, you got to take some time, take some energy that you've been giving to work. You got to put it on your health scale to bring things back into balance, right? This could also be around like your social life. Let's say, you spend too much time alone. You're not really, putting energy into connecting with others and you've been feeling very isolated. Well, it's time to put more energy into connecting with others and socializing and stuff like that, right? Having fun, whatever. Let's say you've been working too much, you haven't been having fun. Well, life is about balance, and tomorrow could be a checkpoint about balance. We can really take advantage of that equinox, and we can, we can take a look at our life and be like, okay, where can I bring things back into harmony and balance in some type of way? So tomorrow, as well, let me go here. As the moon is going through Libra, the moon is going to hit an opposition with Chiron, I believe. Yeah, in Aries. And that's going to happen around, welcome everybody who's just coming in. We've been here for about an hour, but thank you guys for being here. And that's going to be around, let me see, around 2 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow on September 23rd. The 14th hour of the day, the moon is approaching this opposition with Chiron, and it goes actually around 6 p.m. tomorrow. But we're going to start to feel it around 4. The moon opposite Chiron in Aries, okay? hurt feelings, all right? And feeling like we need to address emotional issues, especially issues of anger, if we're mad or angry about something, or even things around unfairness or injustice in relationships and partnerships, okay? Because as the moon progresses and finishes out in Libra, it goes into Scorpio on Wednesday, and that's when, the moon conjunct Scorpio, squaring Pluto, the moon goes into its fallen state. So we're going to have the sun fallen, we're going to have the moon fallen, and we're going to have Venus fallen, you know, for those 3 days, for on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I will say, I think Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are going to be very emotionally intense. And I think there's going to be a lot of kind of like destructive energy in the air. There's going to be a lot of passion. There's going to be a lot of heat in the air, a lot of fire, a lot of anger in the air. Okay. Starting Wednesday as the moon ingresses into Scorpio. But it's interesting because the moon separates from this conjunction with Chiron, or this opposition to Chiron, which could be a trigger point, and then it ingresses and moves on into, going to Scorpio, conjoining Mars and squaring Pluto right away. So I want us to be very aware of our emotions and our passions and our motives, are the motives of the self and also the motives of others with Mars and Scorpio, right? There could be certain energies right now that we're feeling where, we're not feeling, we're not trusting, we're feeling skeptical, we're feeling like we need to analyze something, we want to research something, and we're definitely gonna feel that as the moon goes into Scorpio tomorrow. But what I do want to say is, with moon opposite Chiron, I just think we need to be very aware of woundedness tomorrow. What are, and there could even be like, this doesn't have to be an externalization or an external experience. It could just, the moon and Libra opposite Chiron and Aries can just be a moment of realizing like, hey, there is something that I want from connections or partnerships that I'm not getting currently. Or, there can be just a general woundedness around relationships and partnerships that comes up, or even a woundedness around our power and our individuality, right? Because that's what Chiron and Aries has been healing. Chiron and Aries has been about this ongoing healing journey around our relationship with agency, our relationship with our power, our relationship with passion, and things like this, right? So I think it's just something we want to be very aware of, with moon opposite Chiron, okay? Um, Tomorrow. And then also, the sun in Libra, the sun goes, is in Libra, right? The sun ingressed into Libra. The sun is still sitting in this trine with Pluto and Uranus, and separating from an opposition with Neptune, right? Like pretty much all week. Let's see. Or I'm looking at Tuesday and the sun's at 1. And so it's like, I mean, we're feeling this energy. I think it starts to die down around the weekend, like Saturday, Sunday, because the sun's gonna be at 5, go to 5 degrees on Saturday and 6 degrees on Sunday. But we're still feeling this like sun trine Uranus, sun trine Pluto, with just major social movements, major protests, um, major fallouts with the government or with authority figures and stuff like that. Authority figures, leadership right now is, they're being deceitful, they're being dishonest, they're telling us lies. Sun opposite Neptune. Sun, leaving this opposition from Saturn, and then also the solar eclipse in Virgo cycle we're in. It's just like, authority figures are not really, they're not really making the mark right now. They're not really cutting it, you know what I mean? And they're being held accountable. And that's just going to be a theme. That's like where we're at. Let me actually put this into whole sign, put the chart in whole sign. So then Sunday, let me see if there's any other aspects that I need to notice or that I'm missing out on. Yeah, my dad's here. Everyone's saying hi to my dad. Hi, hi, hi. I'm a Libra and I just hopped on this live. Love that. Welcome, beautiful Libra girl. Libra lady. I love myself. I love myself some Libras. I love me a good Libra or two or three. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. Anyway, so then tomorrow on Sunday, the moon goes into Scorpio, or on Wednesday, the moon goes into Scorpio, like I was saying. And let's see. Let's see what time the moon goes into Scorpio. Let me go by 6-hour increments here. If there's any aspects that you guys see, or if you're going through this with me, you want to talk about it, just let me know, okay? So by 6 a.m. tomorrow, 6 a.m. Wednesday, September 24th, the moon is in Scorpio, sitting in a conjunction with Mars. Moon Mars squaring Pluto. Okay. And what I got to say about that is, don't wake up arguing and fighting with your spouse tomorrow. Okay. Don't wake up tomorrow. You may wake up tomorrow feeling some type of way. You may wake up tomorrow feeling some type of way with Moon Mars together. There could be some ish that happened 10 years ago, and all of a sudden you're like, that is still bothering me. And you bring it up, what happened 10 years ago, because you got to address it. You got to get it off your chest. You've been sitting with it for years, and it's time to let it off your chest with Moon Mars tomorrow. So, Moon Mars square Pluto tomorrow. This could also be about these deep moments, like deep emotional epiphanies or deep moments of transformation, or us realizing that something's got to give, something's got to evolve or change with Moon Mars, squaring Pluto tomorrow. And in general, there's an amplification of what we're experiencing right now. There's a amplification of our emotional experiences, of our thoughts and stuff, because we are right in the middle of the eclipses, right? So we're still in an eclipse cycle. We're still in our lunar or solar eclipse in Virgo cycle. So, and then let me see what other aspects it's making. One of the cool things though is that the moon, as it moves through Scorpio, is it is going to sextile Venus, which is very fun, very stimulating. It's not really a strong aspect, but there is going to be a nice sextile to Venus that the moon makes around 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time. So that's going to be nice and sweet. That's going to be good. But it's not really that strong of an aspect, though. Just looking to see if there's any other aspects that I could possibly be missing out on. Nope, nope, nope. So, Moon separating from Mars, separating from that square with Pluto. Moment of emotional intensity tomorrow. Feeling very passionate, feeling very inspired, you know. That's going to be the vibe for, I'm sorry, Wednesday is what I meant to say. And then on Thursday, the moon continues into Scorpio. I'm looking at Thursday. The moon goes into the middle degrees of Scorpio. And I don't see it aspecting anything. It's kind of just floating. The moon's not really aspecting anything on Thursday. It's just in Scorpio, being ruled by that Mars. It's not until Thursday evening. Yeah, Thursday evening, going into Friday. The moon conjoins Lilith, and then the moon's also going to be making a trine with Jupiter. So Thursday night going into Friday, it can be really good, can be really, really positive. I think that's gonna be the best of our moon and Scorpio transit is Thursday night going into Friday, because then the moon, it does hit a conjunction with Lilith and Scorpio though, so that can be like a moment of taboo. That can be a moment of difficulty. Um, I don't know, Moon Mars together on Wednesday, that could also be a moment of violence or something very difficult or something very traumatic happening in the collective. So we just got to be aware of that Wednesday. I think Wednesday is looking a little dangerous, but Thursday and Friday, especially Thursday evening going to Friday, the moon hits this beautiful trine with Jupiter in Cancer. And then the moon is also going to make this beautiful trine as it leaves Scorpio Friday evening with Saturn and with the North Node as well. And then it's sextiling the South Node in Virgo and it's trining the North Node in Pisces. So I kind of feel like Thursday evening and going into Friday, there can be these really good divine blessed moments, or there can be reconciliation, opportunity, even moon trine Jupiter in Cancer. That can be that can be an open door, that can be a proposal, that can be, a moment of celebration, or that could even be a conversation with like a therapist or counselor or something, right? But these beautiful trines that the moon starts to make as it goes into the last degrees of Scorpio, I think it's really positive. It seems like it's really good. It's really positive. I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like Friday can be a day that kind of, or even Thursday evening going to Friday with the moon trine the North Node, it can be like a day that brings something in, brings something new in that's really positive, or that's part of our karmic timeline, or that's part of our destiny in some type of way, okay? So I'm kind of, but the moon is fallen in Scorpio. So, we have moon, sun, Venus all fallen. Mars is in rulership though. So, but I will say, because Mars is in rulership, Mars, right? The moon in Scorpio is responding to that Mars. There's a lot of passion, there's a lot of desire, there's a lot of energy in the air with the moon in Scorpio later on this week, okay? And then the moon goes into Sagittarius for the weekend, throughout the weekend. And that's going to be fun. I feel like the moon in Sag is going to be a fun time. The moon's gonna hit an opposition with Uranus though as it ingresses into Sag. So the moon actually goes into Sag around 6 p.m. Pacific time on Friday. So Friday night is looking like the moon opposite Uranus. Okay. So that's looking very fun. Also, that moon opposite Uranus, the moon's also sextiling Pluto and sextiling the sun. So we have a sun moon sextile. So this looks very fun. Whenever the moon goes in Sagittarius, people are traveling, people are going out partying, people are going to a big event, the moon in Sag. Opposite Uranus and Gemini, this is about long distance and short distance travel. I guarantee you there's some people, well, yeah, there's gonna be people leaving for vacation this week, on Friday, Saturday, or going on vacation or doing something very much outside, on Friday evening, going an all weekend. So with the moon opposite Uranus, there can be a moment of, radical shifts or changes or something we can like pivot or even just like really fun, interesting interactions with friends and strangers and stuff, with the moon opposite Uranus. We may see some kind of triggering around government rebellion and stuff like that, or we might see some protests this weekend with the moon hitting that opposition with Uranus and also sextiling Pluto and sextiling the sun. So, but yeah, let me see. There's a few questions that people have asked. I have a question. My birthday is July, but my sun is in Cancer, moon's in Scorpio. Not sure what zodiac I'm supposed to go by more. You should go by your rising sign when we're talking about this, but you should use all three. You go by your sun, moon, and your rising. They're all important. Is Wednesday night good? I think Wednesday night is very neutral. We do have moon in Scorpio though, so I think Wednesday night is very neutral. We're getting more of the positive energy from the moon in Scorpio on Thursday night and going into Friday with the moon trine Jupiter and moon trine Saturn. Let me see with someone. Anything for health? Yeah, well, health is like a big theme right now. We are solar eclipse in Virgo, so people are having to get their health shit together, especially mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag. One of the things I talked about, you should go listen to the solar eclipse live that I talked about health for certain signs. I talked about health being a thing for Leo and Aquarius rising during the solar eclipse and also for Aries and Libra rising. Because for Aquarius and Leo rising and Aries and Libra rising, their health houses are getting hit by this eclipse energy. So, um, Libra, Aries, Aquarius, Leo, they've been getting sick, they've been getting ill, they've been having to deal with surgeries, they've been having pets passing away, they've been having to deal with, weird pet things going on, their pets getting sick. They've been dealing with weird money issues, their debts, their expenses, stuff like that. I talked about that. Someone said, how do I find out what my rising sign is? Well, you can go and you need your date, time, and place of birth. You can go online and search for your birth chart. Just look up birth chart calculator. You could do it at astro.com, astro-seek.com. There's a lot of different places, cafeastrology.com, and then they will give you your birth chart and they'll pull it up. Also, you can book a reading with me and I can tell you. So, I think I might have one more appointment for this week that's available, or I might be booked up this week, but I know I have availability next week. Not this week, but next week I have availability for sure. So if you're interested and you want, me to break down your chart for you, and give you the best reading of your life, then book a reading with me. You could do it on my link tree. Question: if you don't have Libra placements in Libra, you're not in the clear. No. If you don't have any Libra placements. No, because just because you don't have anything in Libra doesn't mean that you're not going to get impacted by other things. Do you do short eclipse readings? No, I don't. Not right now. I don't have the capacity for it. I thought I was going to do that, but I don't have the capacity for it. It doesn't really jive with my schedule right now. So if you are going to book a reading with me, you have to do full commitment. Full commitment. Okay. Full commitment. And there's so many, honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there's so many resources right now. There's like so many great other astrologers and tarot readers and But there's a lot of really cool astrologers that are posting, eclipse readings on YouTube, and you can go get yourself. There's so many, right now. It's a beauty right now of astrology is that there's so many people, you know, diving into the science of astrology and sharing their wisdom and their knowledge of astrology. So, there's a lot of free resources on how you can take a look. You go online and find YouTube videos that can give you a look at free reading on the eclipses. You know what I mean? All right, let's keep going. So, Moon and Sag on Friday night around 6 p.m. The moon goes into Sag. And then, so this is important. This weekend's important. Why is this weekend important? Because it's our nodal square from our solar eclipse in Virgo. So the moon in Sagittarius is a mutable sign, and our solar eclipse was a mutable, right? Event, or was happened in a mutable sign. So Sagittarius and Virgo square each other. So the moon going through Sag is going to activate the eclipse energy. It's going to trigger the eclipse energy. And if you're a mutable sign, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you kind of want to pay attention to what is moving or what occurs or what happens this weekend, because this can be an eventful weekend for you, especially if you have your sun, moon, or rising in a mutable sign. Okay. Especially as we get to the end of the weekend, because as we get to the end of the weekend, the moon goes to the last degrees of Sag, I believe. And that's when the eclipse energy gets triggered as the moon is reaching the last degrees of Sagittarius. Yeah, I'm looking at midnight going into Monday, and the moon is at 28 degrees Sag at midnight, Sunday midnight, going into Monday morning or going into Monday. And the moon's at 28 degrees. So we just want to be very aware of kind of like this kind of like karmic unfolding of events that's happening this weekend with the moon going through Sagittarius. It's gonna be very fun, very expansive though. I've been liking the moon in Sag, moon in Pisces transits. I think they've been good because they're being disposited by an exalted Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is in his rulership. So I feel like we've been getting really like good positive occurrences and stuff with the moon going through Pisces and Sag. But we did have an eclipse though. The eclipses are hitting the Pisces Virgo axis, and Gemini and Sag is also getting hit by the eclipses because Gemini and Sag are getting squared by the nodes and squared by the eclipses, right? So that's why I've noticed in my readings that a lot of Saggies and Geminis are going through a lot of big shifts and changes in their life right now because the eclipses in Virgo and Pisces are squaring them, and squares initiate things, they activate things, right? The aspect of a square is ruled by Mars. So it's just something we want to be very aware of this weekend. My mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius. What is flowing into your life and what is flowing out of your life? How is destiny and fate calling to you? What are you being called to right now, mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag? How are you calling to expand and grow, right, with your Pisces house with a North Node there? And what work do you have to do in order to expand and grow? Because Saturn's in Pisces right next to the North Node, and Saturn's letting you know, hey, this is shit that you got to get together. You should have been working on this shit for the last 2 years, getting your shit together, right? In order to build this foundation, in order to get closer to the dream or the vision. But also, what are you moving away from with your Virgo house, with that South Node there, right? And then next week, we're going to have Venus hit a conjunction with the South Node. So I think mutable signs are going through this period right now where life energy is funneling inwards and outwards. And this weekend can be a little bit of a trigger point for that. So, okay, well, let me go back to Saturday. Let me go back to Saturday. The moon and Sag. Let's talk about some aspects. So the moon squares Uranus, and then the moon, as it progresses into Sag, by midday, the moon squares Venus. So I want us, that could be good though. Moon square Venus could be like very fun and very exciting. We can be going shopping and eating and hanging out with our friends. But that could also be a little bit of a disagreement with relationship with like, especially Sag's beliefs and our opinions and morals and stuff and things like that, our world perspective. So with the moon and Sag squaring Venus in Virgo on Saturday, there can be a moment of disconnect, okay, when it comes to conversations with friends, or even like social engagements. We can disagree with someone's beliefs or we can argue about something like that. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Also, Moon Square Venus can be a moment of overindulgence or overspending, like spending money that you don't have. You should be at home saving and you out there partying and spending your money on $30, $40 drinks at the club. What are you doing? Baby, you can't afford that. Okay, putting it on your credit card. So with Moon Square Venus, we want to just be very aware of a possibility to overindulge or overspend, okay, or do too much of something. That's definitely a Moon and Sag thing. Doing too much of things, too much alcohol, spending too much money, going to the casino and wasting all your money. That's a Sag thing. That's a fifth house thing and a Sag thing. So we just want to be very aware of that on Saturday, especially by midday as the Moon is squaring Venus. Okay. That could bring up some challenging emotional experiences in our relationships as well. All right. As the moon is squaring Venus. One of the things I do love though, I like that the sun is in Libra and the moon is in Sag. That sounds fun. Mercury, Sun in Libra, Moon in Sag. That sounds fun. That sounds exciting. That sounds like, we have the sun sextile the moon in Saturday morning. So that's like fun. That's like exciting energy. I think, Libra and Sag, let's go out and party. Let's go out on a date, things like that. That's a vibe. And then oh yeah, then we have Sun sextile Mercury, or I'm sorry, Moon sextile Mercury. So I'm looking at Sunday midnight, midnight Saturday going into Sunday morning. I'm looking at the Sun sextile Mercury between Sag and Libra. And that is also a lot of fun. That's like, communication. That's hanging out with friends. Like, gonna search concerts this weekend. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Sun sextile Mercury or a moon sextile Mercury. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. That's like conversation, communication, hanging out, driving, Mercury and Libra, moon and Sag. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm liking the weekend until like Sunday night. I think that's when things get a little tough, a little difficult. Um, because the moon's gonna move into that square with Saturn and square the eclipse energy. So we're gonna be going into next week with like, the eclipse energy being triggered Sunday night going into Monday. The Mercury's flying through Libra, by the way. Mercury's at 17 degrees Libra by Sunday, and Jupiter's at 22. So we're gonna have a Mercury Jupiter square going into next week as well. And we'll talk about that when we get there. Venus is at 11 degrees. I'm looking at Sunday, September 28th, looking at Venus at 11, inching closer to the south node, but she's not going to quite hit the south node yet, not until later next week. Saturn's retrograde at 27, so Saturn's still moving backwards. Jupiter's moving forwards. Also, another really cool thing, I've been talking about this multiple ways. I've been talking about this in multiple different times over the last few months. I'm really excited about the Jupiter Saturn square. Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces, or I'm sorry, Jupiter and Saturn trine. Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces are going to move into a beautiful harmonious trine within the next like month or so, 3 weeks, I think. And Saturn trine Jupiter is going to be a really good aspect for setting new foundations, for, positive career changes, for kind of like new doors opening up, committing to new things. Like, I think when Saturn and Jupiter trine each other, we make these big life moves and life decisions that just feel right. It feel good in some type of way. So I'm really excited about that Saturn Jupiter trine. It is building. Hasn't hit yet, but it's definitely, there's an energy in the air that's kind of moving us towards that Saturn Jupiter trine, or that's catering to good things unfolding or happening with that Saturn Jupiter trine. Also, that Saturn and Jupiter in a trine based relationship right now is also why we're seeing a lot of people getting married and kind of forge new relationships or even like launching new businesses. I was just reading something about Paris Hilton and how Paris Hilton is going to be coming out with a new line of like they're like going to be like boutique hotels or something like that. So, and I think she's a Sag. Let me see Paris Hilton real quick. Her chart. I'm gonna look at her chart really quick. I think she's got Sag. I think she's mutable. Yeah, she's a Sag rising. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's a Sag rising. She's a Leo moon. Oh yeah, Jupiter is gonna be going on her moon next summer. So that's why. She has Mars in Pisces. So Yeah, so she's a Sag rising. So the eclipses are happening in her 10th house of career and her fourth house of home and family. Oh, that's why she's going through a divorce or separation. I actually think she's gonna be leaving that guy as well. Paris Hilton relationship. Let me see. I think that's why she's going through relationship issues as well. I think, oh yeah, she's married to Carter Room, but they've been dealing with issues. They've been dealing with like issues and stuff because she like wants to like do a career thing and kind of move forward with her career, but he's like, wait, you need to be staying at home and taking care of the kids. So I would not expect a Sag rising woman to be at home taking care of the kids. You know, she has Aries in the fifth house. She ain't trying to be around those kids. Sag rising woman with an Aquarius sun and a Leo moon, born on a full moon. I think, yeah, she's pretty much born on a full moon. Kind of on an was she? I don't know. She could have even been born near an eclipse. I'm not sure. I have to go research it. But Paris is not trying to be at home raising kids. I don't see a Cancer placement here. I don't see no Virgo placements here. I don't see no fifth house. She's got some Mercury in Aquarius with Venus in Aquarius, and she got a Leo moon and she's a Sag rising. This woman is not trying to raise no freaking kids at home, okay? This is not a domestic chart, all right? This woman is trying to be outside and she's trying to make some money, okay? That's what she's trying to do. And she's also like very social. What's so interesting about Paris Hilton with her Aquarius stellium in the third house, she's actually very social justice oriented and she's very like she's done a lot of work, like community work. Like she's advocated for like women and she's advocated for like children. Like she does a lot of people you don't we don't take a look go look at Paris Hilton's chart after this. She's actually a humanitarian and she does a lot of really cool work. If you do some research on her. And it makes sense because she's got Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in Aquarius, and she also has a South Node in Aquarius, which Aquarius is really about, you know, the disenfranchised communities and, you know, helping those that don't have a voice and stuff, you know? Yeah, she's kind of amazing on the low. Yeah, she does some really cool work and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so getting back to the astrology, you know, we could have these beautiful moments of healing this weekend too, especially on Sunday, because the moon is going to trine Chiron, and I really like the moon trine Chiron. The moon trines Chiron at the same time that it squares Saturn though. So I want you guys to be aware of on Sunday this moon Saturn square by the end of the day because that can be a little challenging or a little difficult or something. But this weekend's looking fun though. This weekend's looking exciting, you know. And then we go into next week with the moon moving into Capricorn and going through Saturn signs, you know? So next week is going to be a little intense because it is going to be the moon going through Saturn signs and we had an eclipse opposing Saturn. So I feel like next week is going to be more like karmic and more, it's going to be a little bit more of karmic unfolding when it comes to our eclipse narratives or whatever we're going through. The eclipses, if we're seeing the eclipses move through our life at this moment in time, we're going to see that more than likely next week as the moon is going through Capricorn and Aquarius. But we'll talk about that when we get to next week, okay? And then yeah, and then we have a full moon in Aries that's going to be coming up, you know, in a few weeks from now. That's our next event, and that full moon in Aries is going to be very intense. It's ruled by Mars and Scorpio. So I was trying to understand her career fortune based on her placements. Oh, well, she's got a blessed chart. You know, she's got North Node Moon together in the ninth house in Leo. So that she was like destined for fame, you know? We're talking about Paris Hilton, by the way. So Paris Hilton's a Sag rising. She's got the North Node and the Moon in Leo in the ninth house of like luck and like the divine and being outside. The ninth house is like the house of God. It's the house of divine favor. It's the house of faith. It's the house of, you know, it's a very blessed house, the fifth and the ninth, right? Well, so when you have the North Node and the Moon there, you have one of the luminaries, you know, up there, especially the Moon. You live a blessed life. Her life has been easy, you know, daddy's money. You know what I mean? Like she was given everything to her. She didn't have to try hard for anything. Really, I don't know. She might. I think she has to work though. One thing listen, I don't want y'all to get it twisted. Y'all be looking at the Kim Kardashians and the Paris Hiltons, and you be thinking that these women don't work. They work. These women work. They work hard. What they do in a day, you could not do in a week. Okay, so y'all be thinking you want that lifestyle, but let me tell you, those women, they're working hard. These are not women that just sit around all day and do nothing. Okay. These are women that they're working. They're working ladies. Okay. Yeah. She has Saturn, Jupiter, and Libra. Yeah. Sag rising, you know. She has Saturn, Jupiter in the 11th house of gains, and Saturn rules her second house of money and finances in Capricorn. This woman's a hustler. I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know. Don't know where I've been, where I'm about to go. Hey, I just want to love you. I'm looking at her chart right now. She's actually got a really blessed chart. She's got Venus on the south node, but she's got, Venus opposite the moon, kind of. She's got Jupiter and Saturn in the 11th house of gains. Jupiter conjoined her second house ruler. Like this is a nice chart. It's a nice chart. It's kind of tough for like love and stuff though. It's like tough for other things. There's some other things that are kind of difficult for her. Like money with men, like money situations with men is a little hard, a little difficult. But anyways, enough about Paris Hilton. It's funny how I started talking about the moon in Sagittarius this weekend, and then right away I start talking about Paris Hilton because she's a Sag rising, so it just makes so much sense how that happens. Yep, nothing is perfect. Very, very true. Everyone, no matter what you see on the surface, on the outside of people's lives, everyone goes through something. Everyone has a hard or difficult or painful part of their life or things that they go through, right? Because why? Everyone has Mars and Saturn in their chart. Everyone has Chiron. Not everyone, there's something. Saturn and Mars are gonna get you in some type of way in your life. They're gonna get you eventually, and humble you and remind you just how human you are. But yeah, so Moon in Sagittarius, Moon trine Chiron. And then we wrap up the week. So let's go ahead and do a recap of the week. Okay, let's do a little recap. Let's go wrap it up. Final thoughts and also a little recap of the week. So, what do we got going on this week? Okay, well, this is our first week of our solar eclipse in Virgo cycle. Mars has ingressed into Pluto or into Pluto. I've been doing that all day. What's going on with my Mercury? Where's Mercury's doing something? Okay. So Mars is ingress into Scorpio, and Mars is squaring Pluto for this week. So that's the battles of powers. That's, obsessive compulsive energy. That's, intense emotions. We're feeling like we want to do something, express our emotions. We're also maybe feeling, the darker, heavier emotions being triggered. So things around resentment or betrayal or mistrust, getting triggered with that Mars square Pluto. What else? What else do we have this week? The moon is going to be going through Libra first. The sun. Oh yeah, and also Libra season begins this week, right? So we have our equinox tomorrow. Okay. We have our autumn equinox where we have equal amount of light, equal amount of day, and we are recalibrating, right? The equinox is about recalibration, rebalancing the scales of your life. So pulling energy from certain areas of your life and putting them towards something else so we can find balance and harmony. Libra season begins this week, right? The sun is fallen in Libra. So Libra season is going to have us focus on relationships. We're not focusing on the self. During Libra season, we're focusing on others. We're focusing on the quality of our relationships during Libra season. Okay. And yeah, and the moon goes through Libra Monday, Tuesday, goes into Scorpio Wednesday, Thursday, goes into Sag Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday evening, the moon will be ingressing into Capricorn and getting to the last degrees of Sagittarius. And then this weekend, we have our square. The moon squares the nodes. Okay, so this weekend's going to be very important for the eclipses or for our eclipse narrative, right? Someone said life be life, and yes, life is lifing right now. Okay, whatever is meant to happen right now is meant to happen. We got to surrender. We got to let fate and destiny do their things. We got to just be prepared and respond accordingly. Okay. And this is a solar eclipse in Virgo cycle. So, issues and problems around our Virgo Pisces axis on our own chart. Virgo rules over our jobs, over our health, over our routines. And these are things that we're changing this week. We're working on our health. we're working on our routines, we're working on our habits, we're restructuring the way that we organize our life, right? Sun in Libra, we're rebalancing our life in some type of way, right? And we're also moving away from South Node in Virgo things, self-criticism, self-doubt, perfectionism, being OCD, excessive nervousness, releasing heat and inflammation in the digestive system, in the gut, letting go of the dairy, letting go of eating so much sugars and sweets, letting go of the oily and fatty foods, or even finding more balance with those things. And also fending off any kind of illness and sickness. You know, there's going to be a lot of people getting sick at this time. People are sick, but there's going to be more people getting sick because of the Pisces Virgo axis and the South Node being in Virgo. Okay, so really good week for cleaning things up, for getting rid of stuff in your life, you know, for donating old objects or old things, and also really good week for being of service to people, helping people, showing up for people without expectation of return. Okay, that's how we get some good dharma for the week. So yeah, also relationships are a little unstable right now. We have Venus separating from a square with Uranus. We have Libra season beginning, and the sun is fallen in Libra, you know. So I think that, you know, when it comes to relationships and partnerships right now, you know, Libra season is going to try to bring things back into harmony and back into balance, but there's just definitely this energy of irritation and conflict in the air that we just need to honor. We need to just understand that this energy just needs to cycle, okay? So yes, 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 yes. I love you all so much. Thank you all for being here. Be gentle with yourself, be soft with yourself, be soft with others at this time. Make sure you're really, you know, recommitting to any kind of self-care practices that you've fallen away from. You know, that solar eclipse that we just had yesterday opposing Saturn, you know, we're being made aware of boundaries and limitations. We're being made aware this week of our obligations and our responsibilities. You know, we're being made aware of the things that are needing to evolve or change, or things that we're releasing or letting go of in some type of way, you know. And we're stepping into a new sense of self this week. We have the Sun trine Uranus, Sun trine Pluto tomorrow. We're stepping into a new identity, a new sense of self, a new space of self-awareness, being honest with yourself, taking a cold hard look at yourself, you know, honoring what it is that you want, honoring your desires, honoring your passions. Mars is now in Scorpio. Mars is in his rulership, right? So take action towards the things that inspire you, that motivate you, that breathe life into you, okay? I love you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Be well, okay? Don't get into any arguments or fights unless they deserve it and you need to, okay? All right. If it's gonna like put you into a dangerous situation, just be careful, okay? But what I will say is, yeah, we're feeling very passionate, very inspired with Mars moving into Scorpio and Mars transiting Scorpio for the next 45 days. And yeah, okay. I love you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Be well. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and upload this to YouTube. So if you guys want to go back and watch on YouTube, you can. My YouTube journey has been amazing. I think I'm at like 200 and something subscribers on there. So we're slowly growing. If you're not subscribed to me on YouTube yet, please do. Okay. Because yeah, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's my goal. So, but I love you all so much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. I need to get off because I have to use the restroom. So, mwah, take care of yourselves. Be well, okay? Have a beautiful week ahead. I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.